Hi guys, welcome back to With Her Nose Stuck in a Book. My name is Nikki and today I'm going to be going through some Christmas and winter recommendations. Some of these I have read, some of them I haven't, but I'll go through them all and I'll try to put them into categories. I've got quite a few here. We've got some classics, we've got some Christmas thriller crime books, we've got some books that are set around winter time but aren't necessarily Christmas themed. I've got some kind of cozy Christmas reads and a couple other things, so let's start getting through those. I've got my tea ready because it's still free. It's actually colder outside today than it has been in all month. I think it's really misty and foggy, but it looks quite nice. But yeah, so tea to keep me warm. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started because there is quite a few here to go through. So I'll start with classics first. First and foremost, I think we have to have A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I have read this before, but I have it to read this year again. I'm planning to read it this weekend, like the weekend before Christmas, just because I think that's probably the perfect time to read it, just curled up on the couch the weekend before Christmas, if I do not have 101 other things to do, like wrapping presents and buying presents and doing all the last minute things that we have to do before Christmas. But yeah, I plan to take a few hours to sit and read A Christmas Carol in the weekend before Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you don't know, which you probably do, it is about a man called Ebenezer Scrooge, who is a bad-tempered, miserly, horrible man, hates Christmas, but he is visited by 4 different ghosts. The ghost of his ex-partner Marley, who is basically kind of in purgatory because he was similar to Scrooge in life, and then he's visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas yet to come, or Christmas future. And what they show him causes him to wake up on Christmas morning a changed man. And yeah, it's really sentimental, like Christmassy read. I think everyone should read this at some point, if not every Christmas, at least one Christmas in your life. Sit down and read this or listen to it. There is millions of different adaptations and films. Probably my favourite is the Muppets version. There's like kind of more modernised versions of it. The Ryan Reynolds version lately is probably the most kind of modernised. There's another version of it out this year, Christmas Karma, I believe it's called. That one doesn't look too great. But yeah, there's many different ways you can digest this story via the book, the retellings, audio versions of it, and the many films and TV adaptations. So yeah, I highly recommend A Christmas Carol. Next up we have The Nutcracker. I'm in the process of reading this just now. I picked it up this year because I'd never read the story. I've never seen the ballet version of it or anything like that, but I am obsessed with Nutcrackers. I have about, I don't even know how many. I can see at least 10 just sitting here in my living room, and there's lots of little mini Nutcrackers on my tree. So yeah, they are dotted all around my house at Christmas, and I always pick up different versions of Nutcrackers when I see them. So yeah, so I thought I would give the story a go. I did mention this in one of my previous videos in December, my TBR, so I won't go into it too much, but this version has The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by E.T.A. Hoffman, which I believe is the original version of the Nutcracker story, and then it's got a retelling of it, The Tale of the Nutcracker by Alexander Dumas, who wrote The Count of Monte Cristo, The Three Musketeers, and yeah, so it's the two different versions of it. The whole book in itself is only 155 pages, so each story isn't that long. So I hope to read both versions to just find out which one's better, which one resonates more. I don't know which is the most popular, like, and widely read out of the two. Again, very many different versions of this story that you can pick up and read, and you can watch the ballet and different like kind of dramatizations of it. So yeah, another very classic Christmas story that I haven't read and I'm looking forward to getting through. As I say, I've read the first few chapters and it's good so far. I'm not sure about this translation. It's translated by Joachim Neugroschel, but I have an audio book version of it on my phone, and that's very different to the version that I'm reading. So I'm not quite sure about this translation. Maybe get a different translation, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it. The next kind of classic book that I have here this is The Magician's Nephew, which I again mentioned on my December TBR, but really just like you could transfer this for The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The Narnia stories are very, like, Narnia is set in a perpetual winter, so it gives very wintry vibes, and I just think it's perfect for this time of year. So yeah, I'm going to be reading that. This is the first book in the Narnia Chronicles, and it's I'll just read the blurb to you. It says, the adventure begins. On a daring quest to save a life, two friends are hurled into another world where an evil sorceress seeks to enslave them. And then the Lion Aslan song weaves itself into the fabric of a new land, a land that will be known as Narnia, and in Narnia all things are possible. So yeah, I'm looking forward to rereading this. Like I said in my other video, I read it in primary school and I remember really enjoying it. And to this day, I always say, I prefer The Magician's Nephew to The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. But I'm now 40 and I'm like, I can't actually remember the story like that well. So do I actually prefer it? Because I've reread The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe since then. So yeah, I'm interested to see if it holds up to this like memory that I have of reading it when I was like 9. So yeah, I'm going to read that and hopefully the other Narnia books, because this and The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe are the only Narnia books I've read, and I never continued with the series when I was younger. So yeah, I'm hoping to read that. But yes, I'm hoping this gives me good winter vibes. Another classic, which is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now, this isn't set at Christmas time, but it has lots of nice Christmas scenes in it. It's about 4 sisters, the March sisters, and it's set in the Civil War era in America, and their dad is away fighting in the war, and yeah, it's just a really heartwarming, endearing book. And we read this before me and my friends started a book club during lockdown, and my friend Kelly, this was her pick, purely because I think, if I'm remembering rightly, she is a massive Friends fan, and this is the book that Rachel gives to Joey to read and that he puts in the freezer because he doesn't want to know what he doesn't want what he thinks is about to happen, and I won't say what that is in case you haven't read it. But I think that's why she also wanted to read it, obviously, but like I think that was the kind of thought process behind choosing it. But so this is the book that Joey puts in the freezer in Friends. If you are going to read this, don't watch that episode of Friends first, because it will give you a big spoiler. But yeah, so it's about the March sisters and the just like kind of the resilience of living in wartime when your kind of main breadwinners away fighting, and just about family and pursuing what you want to do in life, because the sisters are all very, very different. And yeah, there's lots of lovely Christmas scenes in this book, so yeah, I would definitely recommend giving Little Women a go. You can read it at any time of the year, but Christmas is a really nice time to try it. And then this one, I don't know if this is classed as a classic, because it is like yeah, well, it's classic literature, like, because it was written a long time ago. But I thought, like, if you're planning to go back and read classics and classic Christmas stories and stuff, why not read the OG Christmas story and read the part of the Bible that deals with the nativity and the birth of Jesus. And we all know the nativity because, like, we've all partaken in like putting on the nativity story in school ourselves, or we went to see our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews in nativity plays. So yeah, obviously it's about the birth of Jesus, and whether you believe or not, whether you're whatever religion you are, if you're not religious at all, I don't really think that matters when it comes to reading the Bible, because the Bible is just great literature. And if you're studying literature, having a kind of knowledge about the Bible is so it just makes you understand the books that you're reading so much more, because there's so many references to the Bible and biblical allusions in classic literature, because they were written at a time where people knew the Bible inside out, and it just helps you understand other literature more. So yeah, I picked this up last year while I was studying, and obviously I've only read a tiny fraction of it, but it's nice to have, like, for instance, when I was reading Jane Eyre, there's lots of biblical allusions in Jane Eyre, and you could just flick to the bit, because all the sections of the chapters are tiny. Like, you could read a chapter in like a minute or so, but obviously there are hundreds of chapters. But yeah, when I was reading Jane Eyre, I flicked through it once. 100 Years of Solitude, a lot of Genesis comparisons. What else? There was one recently I read, I can't remember, but anyway, the different like references that you get through lots of literature. It's handy to be able to pick up the Bible and just, or even if they just reference, like, a lot of people will paraphrase in a book, like in Bleak House, Esther's aunt kind of quotes the Bible at her quite a lot, and sometimes it's paraphrased and stuff, and it's quite handy to just have a copy of this handy to, like, read the original passage. Might not be for you, fair enough, but I was told in a lecture that reading the Bible as literature is a really rewarding experience, and I obviously have started trying to do that. I'm not going to get through it, like, even within a year. Like, just reading a chapter a day would take you a good couple of years at least, but yeah, I'm glad that I did invest in this. I just got the King James version. This is the Oxford University Press version, and I think it was like £8 or £9, and for the amount of pages that we have in here, it's about 1,500 pages. I mean, that's good for the money. So yeah, might not be for you, but it's I always think it's important to understand the background of why like things. So why are we celebrating Christmas? It's because of this original story. So yeah, why not give reading the OG a go? It probably will take you less than 15 minutes because, as I say, all the chapters in the Bible are very, very short. Next up, I have a more modern book, and this is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. And if you have not read this book, I urge you to go and give it a go because it's so good. Claire Keegan, I would read her shopping list. Like, all her books are very short, so almost more like short stories and novellas. And everything that I've read by her is just amazing. And Small Things Like These, you might have heard of the film that came out last December with Cillian Murphy. So it's set in Ireland in 1985, so 40 years ago, in this small Irish town, and it's set in the weeks leading up to Christmas. And Bill Furlong, that's who Cillian Murphy plays in the film, he's a coal merchant, so like he owns a small company that like provide the coal and timber to the community. And this is obviously his busiest season because it's freezing, it's cold, it's snowing, it's winter, so his busiest time of year, and he's doing the rounds, making these deliveries, and he goes to the local convent and he finds something there that he doesn't think is right. And it's about how the community is kind of controlled by the church, and everybody in this community knows that this is going on, and they're just all quiet because at that time the church ruled and you didn't say anything. So like if you like the Magdalene sisters story in film and stuff, this is very much, it's not quite as brutal as that, but yeah, just about how whole towns and like villages and places, like whole communities of people are complicit in these acts because they're just too afraid to say anything and stand up against the bigger institution, and just how much people were ruled by the church in Ireland at the time. So yeah, he kind of goes up against the head nun, the sister, I think sister superior you call them, I can't remember, but yeah, so he goes up against her, and like his wife's kind of like, no, we can't do that because they've gave us money to buy like the church have got, and they give his wife a donation, and it's clearly to buy his silence, and she's like, we can't do this, but he's like, no, I can't stand by and watch this happen. And yeah, it's really, really good, and the film is really, really good. It's such a it's a film where like kind of a lot of the time nothing's happening, but it's still just so compelling. So I would recommend the book. It's very short. It's all about 100 pages, and it is very large and spaced out writing. So you can read it in an afternoon. And as I say, it's set in the time leading up to Christmas, and yes, the subject matter is quite dark, it is quite sad, but it's such a good book, so rewarding. So yeah, I would recommend that. And then I have here, the toy makers. Now, I forgot to put this on my December TBR, and if I can get to it, if I have time, I will try. It is The Toy Makers by Robert Dinsdale, so I haven't read it. I did mean to put it on my, I was meant to be saving it for this month, and then I forgot to put it on in my video for my December TBR because it was packed away with my other 40 for 40 books. This was recommended to me by Claire, and she did say at the time it is very much a Christmas vibes book. So I've not read it, so I'll just read the blurb. So it says, the Emporium opens with the first frost of winter. While the Great War wages across Europe, there is a place of hope and enchantment in the heart of London. The Emporium sells toys that capture the imagination of children and adults alike, patchwork dogs that seem alive, toy boxes that are bigger on the inside, soldiers that can fight battles on their own. Into this family business comes young Kathy, running away from a shameful past. But Kathy is about to discover that the Emporium has secrets of its own. So, and then it says, if there was a toy shop on Diagon Alley, it would be The Toy Makers, a dark, enchanting novel for fans of the night circus and the miniaturist. So that sounds really good. And I really hope I get time to read that because that does sound really good. Then I have, this is The Girl Who Saved Christmas because I can't find my copy of A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig, but it's all the same series, so it's A Boy Called Christmas, The Girl Who Saved Christmas, and Father Christmas and Me. And they're all by Matt Haig. And The Boy Called Christmas is obviously the first in the novel, in the series, sorry, and that's been turned into, I think that got adapted last year or the year before to a TV. I think it was just a one-off TV show, like a short, like couple hours. I don't think it was a series, but yeah. So this one is about Amelia, who is trapped in the workhouse. They're set in the kind of Victorian times. She's in the workhouse, and basically Christmas magic's fading, and Father Christmas needs her help to stop this happening, basically. So her and the elves, the reindeers, and this is really good, and because she meets the Queen and she meets Charles Dickens, who obviously it's a nod to the fact that Charles Dickens really kind of is integral to the way we celebrate Christmas today. Like he is responsible for a lot of the traditions that we have today through his writing. And yeah, so she has to help save Christmas, basically. So I would recommend this one. I would recommend A Boy Called Christmas and Father Christmas Me. I would really recommend anything by Matt Haig, but for Christmas Rex, these three books are really good, and I don't know where my copies of the other two have went. I've got a feeling one of them's in my daughter's room, but yeah, really recommend those. So next up I have a couple of Christmas thrillers. I've only read one of these so far, and that is The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose. This is like a short novella that fits into the Maid series by Nita Prose. The Maid, if you haven't read it, really recommend it. It's about a maid that's working in a hotel in America, and she's neurodivergent, and so she doesn't really get cues properly from people. Like, she'll just say what she thinks. People don't really get her. They think she's being rude, or whatever, and it's her navigating life, but she kind of gets embroiled in this mystery that's happening in the hotel. And I think there's 3 full-length books in the series now, and this is a little short novella set around Christmas time. And this is more, it's not so much set in the hotel, it's set in her kind of home setting where she lives with, like, she lived with her gran, and her boyfriend Juan, who she met at the hotel, keeps disappearing, and she's wondering why is he whispering, and why when I'm at work is everybody, like, why is he disappearing, and why when she's at work everyone seems to be whispering and like she thinks they're talking about her and blah blah blah, and what's going on. Someone's keeping a secret and she wants to find out what it is. And yeah, it's just a really heartfelt little story for this time of year. As I say, Molly the maid is one of my favourite fictional characters. If you pick up the maid, you will fall in love with her too, I think. And yeah, nice little quick little read for December. These ones I haven't read yet, so I'll just read you the blurb, but it's just a couple of like thrillers that I have kicking about that are Christmas themed, and as I say, I've not read them yet, but I'll just give you the idea. This one's meant to be really good. I've heard good things about it. It's The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson, and it says here, December 1989, Ashley Smith, a bright-eyed American studying in London, has unexpectedly been invited by her classmate Emma Chapman to spend Christmas at Starwood Hall, her family's seemingly idyllic Cotswold manor house. But is there something strange about the old house, both stately and run down? What could the true motives of the mysterious Chapman family be, and what horrors may lie beyond the pages of Ashley's diary? So yeah, sounds like kind of closed door mystery by Peter Swanson. Again, it's a short, it's more of a novella, and it's 120 pages long. So again, if you've got a little afternoon spare, because as we all know, December can be a busy month, so it is hard to find some time to just sit down and chill out in the build up to Christmas. So yeah, this is another little short story that you could try. And then the next one I have here is The Christmas Jigsaw Murders by Alexander Benedict, and I do not know anything about this, but I have it. So it says, it's beginning to look a lot like murder. On 19th of December, renowned puzzle setter, loner and Christmas skeptic Eddie O'Sullivan finds a mysterious gift-wrapped parcel on her doorstep. Inside are 6 jigsaw pieces showing part of a blood-spattered crime scene and a message from a killer. 4, maybe more people will be dead by midnight on Christmas Eve, unless you can put all the pieces together and stop me. Eddie's nephew, D.I. Sean Brand O'Sullivan, takes over the official investigation, but as a series of cryptic clues soon have the police stumped as the body count rises. Eddie knows that only she has the knowledge to solve the killer's murderous puzzle. But first she'll have to face her own ghosts of Christmas past. Sorry, that was a bit smudged there, so I couldn't read it. So that sounds good as well. A bit different with the whole jigsaw element. So yeah, I have not got enough time to read all the books that I haven't read yet that have Christmas themes, so some will have to just be kicked along to next year. But yeah, so this one is Alex Pine, The Killer in the Cold, and I believe he has quite a lot of different Christmas. I don't know if they're all in the series, but yeah, so he's got the Christmas Killer, the Killer in the Snow, the Winter Killer, the Night Before Christmas, and then this, the Killer in the Cold. So I don't know the order of them. I will have to check. I'm assuming that the list that I just read is the order, and then this one's the 5th. But yeah, so this says, chilling truths are buried in the snow. When a body dressed in a Santa Claus suit appears in the snow just outside a small village of Cumbria, DCI James Walker is the first to appear on the scene. Almost a year has passed since something so tragic has happened in the close-knit community, and James is hopeful that it's just an accidental death. But when he uncovers the body, he discovers something that chills him to the bone. The man, a former police officer, was murdered, and it is not long before another body appears. Time is ticking as James races to uncover the killer's next victim before they strike again. But can James find him before the snow washes away the evidence? Okay, sounds good, but as I say, I think this is literally the 5th book in a series, so my OCD will not let me just read the 5th book in a series without reading the 4 before it, so I will have to look into that one. But yeah, just adding to my never ending TBR here, as always. But what can you do? That is a bookworm life. I literally probably buy 10 books for every book I read. Like, every book I read sends me off in a tangent, especially classics. Classics, you find the connections to other classics, and I swear to God, every classic book that I've read this year has led me to buy at least 10 other books. And I'm never going to get around to it. Like, it's so sad. But from speaking to other booktubers and bookstagrammers and people in the Hardcore Literature Book Club, it is a very common thing among readers to just buy more than you're ever going to be able to read, but they just look so pretty on the shelves as well. So book buying and reading books is two very different hobbies, but yeah, it is what it is. It could be worse. So moving on, sorry, I had to have a little drink of tea there because my voice was starting to go. I will mention these two very briefly because, again, I've mentioned them in previous videos. Again, not set in at Christmas time, but has quite good wintry vibes. First one's Wuthering Heights, about Kathy and Heathcliff and their very toxic romance. It's set in the Yorkshire Moors. There's like a lot of kind of snowstorms and stuff throughout, and yeah, so that's why I would recommend it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the run up to Christmas. You could probably read this in January, February time as well, when it's still really cold and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of wintry weather, and the romance in this is quite dark, so yeah, I'd recommend that for winter time. And then The Secret History, again, not set at Christmas, but this book starts out with a murder, and the reason that they get away with the murder to begin with is because the body's covered. There's a snowstorm, and the body's covered up with the snow, so the body's not discovered till a little later down the line. But I won't go into this too much because I have mentioned it in a previous video. I am currently reading both Wuthering Heights and The Secret History at the moment, so I will finish them this month, hopefully. And again, yeah, I kind of very dark themes, dark kind of gothic-y themes, so again, you could read it anytime from like kind of September, October through to January, February. You can read it any time of year, obviously, but it's nice to kind of tie in your reading with the seasons, so I would recommend this as well. Next up, I have His Dark Materials. I do have all 3 books, but I've just picked up this one to show you, and this one is called Northern Lights, which I think is called The Golden Compass in America. That's what the film was called, with Nicole Kidman. I think the TV series that came out here last year, the year before, on BBC, I think it was called His Dark Materials as well, but I think the American version of this book is called The Golden Compass. So Northern Lights or Golden Compass by Philip Pullman, and then this is a trilogy, so there's 2 more books after this, and again, it's just set in this really snowy setting. It's obviously to do with the Northern Lights, so yeah, I just think it's really nice to read it at this time of year because of the setting, and it's about a 12-year-old girl called Lyra who lives in this college with her uncle around all these like academic scholar people, and everybody has, I think they're called familiars. So she has her familiar, and it's like a little animal friend that you have that follows you about. And every human has this. And she's basically a very curious girl, and she is pulled into this kind of dark world. This mysterious woman one day comes and says that she's to go and live with her, and she's not very nice. And it's basically set in the kind of Arctic, so it's amongst the snow and the ice and, like I said, the northern lights. So yeah, really good for winter time. And yeah, I would highly recommend this series. I would like to reread it at some point soon. God knows when I will fit it in, but yeah, I haven't read this for a long time, so yeah, I would recommend that. Next up, I have some thriller books that again are not set around Christmas but have winter settings, snowy settings. And sorry, I'm just trying to pull them forward and push there's so many here that. So the first one I have here is The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I read this a few years ago. A lot of people like it. I thought it was quite slow, but I will let you have let you see what you think for yourself. On the front it says spine tingling, a must read by Richard Osman. So I don't know if that makes you feel any better about it. Claire Douglas says it's atmospheric, seriously chilling. So yeah, gothic thriller here. So yeah, so as I say, I read it, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so I will just read the blurb here for you so that I'm telling you actually what it's about. So it's very like The Shining vibes, that it's in this big isolated hotel that's like gets cut off in the winter. So yeah, everyone's in danger, anyone could be next. An imposing isolated hotel high up in the Swiss Alps is the last place Ellen Warner wants to be. But she's taken time off from her job as a detective, so when she receives an invitation out of the blue to celebrate her estranged brother's recent engagement, she has no choice but to accept. Arriving in the midst of a threatening storm, Ellen immediately feels on edge. Though it's beautiful, something about the hotel, recently converted from an abandoned sanatorium, makes her nervous, as does her brother Isaac. And when they wake the following morning to discover his fiancée Laurie has vanished without a trace, Ellen's unease grows. With the storm cutting off access to and from the hotel, the longer Laurie stays missing, the more the remaining guests start to panic. But no one has realised yet that another woman has gone missing, and she's the only one that could have warned them all just how much danger they're in. So yeah, you've got the isolation setting and the fact that they're cut off by the weather in this like big hotel, so that kind of closed door thriller, which I really like. Then you've got obviously the fact that it used to be a sanatorium, which adds that kind of creepy gothic element to it. And yeah, then the actual mystery of the murder or disappearance itself. So yeah, I remember, I don't know, I remember not being super impressed by this, but reading the blurb again, I'm like, that sounds really cool. So I don't know, maybe I should give it another go. There is another book in this series, maybe more by now, but yeah, so if you think that sounds good, give it a go. Another kind of closed room, cut off isolated kind of situation is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, which I really enjoyed. I do remember reading this around the same time, maybe before the sanatorium, and I really enjoyed this book. It's set up in the Scottish Highlands, and it's about friends who gather for New Year, and basically how things go quite wrong. So this blurb says, in a remote hunting lodge deep in the Scottish wilderness, old friends gather for New Year. The beautiful one, the golden couple, the volatile one, the new parents, the quiet one, the city boy, the outsider, the victim. Not an accident, a murder among friends. And then a recommendation here says that it's a ripping, riveting murder mystery, wily as Agatha Christie, charged with real menace. And yeah, this is a thriller that, like, I don't often reread thrillers because, you know, the ending, you know, the plot twist. Like, a lot of thrillers really kind of rely on the plot twist and the big reveal. So sometimes it's like a bit like, why would you reread it when you already know what's going to happen? But I think this is one that I would reread. Lucy Foley is really good. She done The Wedding Guest as well, and lots of other books, and this was the first book of hers that I read, and I really enjoyed it, so I would definitely recommend The Hunting Party. The Drift by C.J. Tudor. I was hoping to either read this or listen to it this month. Again, it's not set at Christmas, but it's about a cabin in the snow by the looks of the cover. So I'll read the back of that for you. So, an overturned coach full of students, all of them are trapped, a stranded cable car full of strangers, one of them is dead. An isolated chalet full of friends, soon they'll be enemies. Outside, a slow storm rages, inside each group a killer lurks. But that's not their only problem. Why is no rescue coming? What are they trying to escape from? And who are the terrifying whistlers? So yeah, C.J. Tudor I usually think has a kind of horror element in his book, a kind of supernatural element, and on the back here it says that she is Britain's female Stephen King. So yeah, I am looking forward to getting to this at some point, hopefully soon. Another one that I've had sitting about for a long time is The Snow Girl by Javier Castillo. I don't remember anything about this book. I haven't read it yet, but I obviously bought it for some reason. Apparently it says here it's a hit Netflix series, which I'll have to have a wee look into. But yeah, so the back of this one says, where is Kira Templeton? Aaron and Grace Templeton will never forget 1998 Thanksgiving Day parade, the day they lost their daughter Kira in a crowd. Investigative journalist Mirren Triggs has spent years trying to help the Templetons find Kira. Her only lead has been videos sent to Kira's devastated parents. They show Kira growing up in a house that's not her home. Mirren is desperate for answers. Where is Kira? Who is sending these videos and why? But when a new video arrives, Mirren fears the worst. The house is the same, but Kira is gone. Mirren knows that if she doesn't solve the case soon, Kira will be lost forever. But she has no idea just how far someone will go to keep Kira hidden. So yeah, that sounds really good. I do like the thrillers with the journalist aspect to them rather than just following like police and detectives and stuff. So yeah, that sounds really good actually. A well-layered, pacey thriller, it says here, and the new phenomenon of European literature is the recommendations on the back. And as I say, it says it's a hit Netflix series, so if you have read or watched that, let me know and let me know what you think. But yeah, that's going on the read soon pile. Next up, I have Misery. Sorry if you can hear snoring. Again, it is my Frenchies. I do have my tea and my pardon my Frenchie mug today, and yeah, you will have to pardon my Frenchies because they snore so loudly. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough to drown them out, but yeah, I have to put up with it. Unfortunately, you will too. So I do apologise if you can't hear snoring in the background. It's not someone taking a nap, it is my dogs. But yeah, so next up I've got Misery by Stephen King. And just while I'm holding this one up, I think I probably should have included The Shining in this as well, because it's set like the sanatorium and that hotel, they're cut off by snow and stuff. So yeah, The Shining as well. I don't have it in my pile, and I'm not going to go and look for it right now. But yeah, The Shining as well would be a good Stephen King to read at this time of year. But I've got Misery here, and I read this last year for the first time. No, this year, the start of this year. I think I read it in about January time. And you probably know the story of Misery from either the book or the film. The film is really, really good, with Kathy Bates. And Misery is about Paul Sheldon, who is a writer, and he has been writing these books about Misery Chastain. He's been writing a series of novels. They're about this woman, and he decides that he doesn't want to write those anymore. He wants to do serious literature, and he has written his book. He's super happy about it. He's had some champagne, and he gets in his car. I can't remember if he's going to drop off the manuscript or I can't remember what he's doing at that point, or if he's finished up writing wherever it was that he was writing the book, and he's heading home. And like I say, he's had a lot of champagne, and he crashes, and he is found, luckily you might think, by a nurse, but it's not lucky at all, because Annie Wilkes, yes, is a nurse, but she's also crazy, and she loves the Misery Chastain books. And when she finds out that Paul isn't writing them anymore, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. So she basically forces him to stay with her, to write a new Misery Chastain book and bring her back from the dead, because he's killed her off in his last book and she's not happy about it. And obviously you have that. I think everyone knows the scene in the movie. Everyone knows that scene, where she basically makes sure he can never leave. And similar happens in the book. It's very tense. Very, you're very on the edge of your seat to find out of will he escape. And yeah, it's one of probably Stephen King's top books from his kind of era of writing. Most Stephen King books are bestsellers. I don't mean that. I mean his kind of run of the most well-known books, so like The Shining, Carrie, Pet Sematary, Salem's Lot, Misery, The Stand, all those kind of books. So this is from that kind of era, and yeah, it is really, really good, and I would recommend it. It was given to me as one of my 40 for 40 books by my friend Lisa, who says it's her favourite book. It may be the only book she's ever read, though. I'm not sure, she's not a big reader, but it is her favourite book. So that's why I read this one. I do have a kind of goal to read through Stephen King's catalogue, but he has so many, but I would quite like to try and do that chronologically and start from the beginning and read through his stuff. But yeah, that's Misery by Stephen King, and as I say, I forgot to put it on this list, but I would probably also say The Shining is good for winter spooky vibes. The next, I don't know if I'm recommending this because I didn't like it, but I'm going to include it. And basically, this is the rip-off of Misery. So it's Frida McFadden, and it's called The Crash, and it's about Tegan, who's pregnant, and she is trying to get her life together, and she gets in her car and she's driving home or wherever she's going, and it's a snowstorm and she crashes. Does this sound familiar so far? And she is found. She has a broken ankle, and she's found by a couple who rescue her and offer her a room in their cabin while she waits for the storm to clear and gets better. And they keep saying, oh yeah, you can go to the hospital, and they just don't ever take her to the hospital. But luckily the woman is a nurse, and yeah, basically it's about it's basically a rip-off. Like, it's a rip-off of Misery, basically. I can't say anything else about it. Like, it's probably my least favourite Frida McFadden books. I have read most of Frida McFadden's books. I have enjoyed most of Frida McFadden's books. Is it great literature? No. But if you're just looking for fun, fast-paced thrillers, yes, like, read her. Like, she's good at a plot twist. She's good at a crazy plot twist. She's, like, for fast-paced, fun reads that you don't have to think too much about, yes, certainly read Frida McFadden. But this one was just a clear, like, it was like she just read or watched Misery and then went and wrote a book that was slightly different, but basically Misery. The only difference is in here is that she's pregnant, and that's a kind of aspect about why they're keeping her hostage. But yeah, so I mean, if you like Frida McFadden, give it a go. It's, like I say, to me, one of her least, one of my least favourites of hers, because I don't know if I read it too soon after reading Misery, because I read Misery this year also, that Misery was so fresh in my mind that I was like, oh, like, this is just ripping Misery off completely, because there are a couple of other books of Frida McFadden's that I've read and I'm like, oh wait, that happened in this other book, this other famous book. Like, so I don't know if that's just a thing where she takes something as a kind of plot point and goes her own way with it, but with this one it was just so glaringly obvious to me that it was a kind of rip-off of Misery that I just couldn't enjoy it. And yeah, like I say, maybe I just read Misery far too near to when I read this. But yeah, if you like Frida McFadden, as I say, give it a go. I'm not gonna hate on her. I have read most of her books, and I will continue to buy and read her books because, as I say, they're good fun reads. But this one just wasn't for me. I just thought it was far too similar to Stephen King. The next one I have here is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. And Alice Feeney is a really good thriller writer. Her plot twists are really, really good. If you haven't checked her out, please do. And this is about a couple called Adam and Amelia, and again it's set in the Scottish Highlands, which seems to be a kind of favourite setting for authors for winter thrillers. And again, it's a remote location, and they're taking this romantic trip, but it takes a bit of a dark turn, and they both start to wonder if they can trust each other. Like, they're not sure anymore. And it says here, because every couple tells little white lies, only for Adam and Amelia the truth is far more dangerous. And yeah, so it's about that they're in this kind of remote setting in the Highlands, and they've been married for 10 years. That's 10 years worth of secrets that are ready to be spilled. And it's about what happens when they are revealed. So again, Alice Feeney is really good for unreliable narrator. So this flicks between both people, but you're never really sure if the who you're reading is telling the truth. So like they're wondering, can they trust each other? You as a reader are wondering, can you trust either of them? And yeah, so really recommend this one. It is one of probably my top thrillers. Alice Feeney is a great writer. Next up I have Camilla Lackberg, The Ice Princess, and this again is a series. There is loads of these books now. I actually got into this years ago. I think I was pregnant with Lexi at the time, so that would have been over 13 years ago. So about 13 years ago. And it was because it was recommended by a TV book club, can't remember which one. It might have been the Richard and Judy book club. I can't remember, but I read the fifth one or the fourth one in the series, and I really enjoyed it. Then realised it was a series and bought the rest of them. So this is the first in the series, and it's a Scandinavian noir type crime thriller, which any kind of Scandi noir crime series is going to be good for this time of year, because they're set in like kind of snowy, icy settings. But this series is really good. I'll just read you the blurb for this, and it says, returning to her hometown after the funeral of her parents, writer Erica Falk finds a community on the brink of tragedy. The death of her childhood friend Alex is just the beginning. Her wrist slashed, her body frozen in an ice-cold bath, it seems like she's taken her own life. Meanwhile, local detective Patrick Hedstrom is following his own suspicions about the case. It's only when they start working together that the truth begins to emerge about a small town and a deeply disturbing past. So yeah, I would really recommend this series. As I say, I started it halfway through, and to be honest, I read that as a standalone and it was fine as a story, but I think with series you are better reading them in order, because you get the kind of character development and the relationships developing between characters and stuff, and you just get a little bit more understanding if you read them in order. Next up, I've not got too many left. Next up I have The Christmas Tree Farm, which is a kind of cozy, romantic read. This is the third in Laurie Gilmore's Dream Harbour series. So set in Dream Harbour, which is like this little idyllic American village town. Very much gives Gilmore Girl vibes, especially the first one. And the author's name is Laurie Gilmore, so I think that's definitely what they were going with when they were writing and publishing them. And since the Pumpkin Spice Cafe came out, there has been so many books with these types of covers. So yeah, it must have worked. And as I said, they're everywhere. So I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I've read the second one, which is it's about a bookstore, but I can't remember what the name of it is. It'll probably tell me here. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. This is The Christmas Tree Farm, and then I think there is a gingerbread bakery one out also this year, and something about a strawberry patch. Yeah, I think that's all 5 of them. But this one is about this woman comes to town and she moves into the old Christmas tree farm, but she hates Christmas. So her name is Kira and she hates Christmas. And as I say, she's just bought the Christmas tree farm, and she's in a town that's just like the cutest. It's just too cute. Like I say, it's very Gilmore Girlsy. And sorry, that is my dog's yawning. So, and then we have Bennett Ellis come in, and he's on vacation in Dream Harbour, and he's always trying to fix things. He likes to fix things, and fate throws them together, and he gets trapped at Kira's farm and gets snowed in there. And despite her So here it says, despite her Grinchiest first impressions with the glow of fairy lights twinkling in the trees and the promise of a warming hot chocolate, maybe, just maybe, these two lost souls will have a Christmas they'll remember forever. So yeah, like all these books all follow a very similar formula, and each one's set on a romance between two people that just really don't seem like they'll go together, and then they fall in love. They have quite a few sex scenes in these books, so if you don't like that, if you do like that, like, just know that they're in there. They're not the spiciest thing I've ever read, but they are in there. But yeah, if you just want a cozy, easy, feel good read for Christmas, I would recommend these books, and there's lots like them out there now. There's like so many Christmas romances out there. I'm not a big romance reader, I don't have a lot. As you can see, I'm more a crime and a thriller girly, but trying to find Christmas thrillers now is so hard, because if you go into shops like the Works and stuff, the shelf is just all romance, Christmas romances, or quite a few hockey romances became a thing. Yeah, so it's quite hard to find other Christmas genres, because, like, as I say, in the shops where you can get books slightly cheaper and stuff, it just seems to be all these books, which I think is a lot to do with Book Talk and Bookstagram and stuff, and what a lot of people post videos about on there. But yeah, if you want a cozy Christmas read that you could probably sit and read this in a day. It's quite an easy, fast read. And as I say, there is the gingerbread one that has came out, which I think is the Gingerbread Bakery. Then give it a go, and if it's like for autumn, Halloween season, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore are also good for those time of years. And she has one out which is something to do with a strawberry patch something, which I would imagine is good for springtime and summer, but I've not read that one, so don't quote me on it, but I think that's probably the vibe that they were going for with that one. Then I have this one that I've just randomly picked up at some point, and it's called The Secret Christmas Bookshop by Cressida McLaughlin, and I don't know anything about this, so I'll just read the back of it for you. It says, in a village by the sea where wintry skies bring a dusting of sparkling snow, somebody is opening an unexpected gift. When Sophie receives a surprise package, she's intrigued to find a beautifully bound book inside. Sophie is desperate to discover the mystery sender, and her hunt draws her to the enigmatic Harry. The subject of much gossip since his return from London, Harry keeps to himself in his crumbling manor house. They are both about to learn that the best stories can take on a life of their own. So yeah, again, a very similar vibe to people encounter each other, come across each other, you wouldn't think they go together. One's very closed off, and I'm assuming they're going to fall in love and live happily ever after. It says on the front here, can their Christmas love story last a lifetime? So as I say, I don't read a lot of romance. I do occasionally. I'll do a video on the romance books that I have, which won't be anywhere near as long as this video, because I don't have a lot of them, and a lot of them I do find quite. I'm very bad for finding some romance, and especially when there's a lot of sex scenes in books. For some reason, I find reading sex scenes really cringy. I know some people love it, like reading smut is a thing, and people like there's so much merch surrounding reading smut, like, and stuff like that. I don't know. I just find reading a sex scene really cringy. Like, I don't know why, but I don't know, because like if we were watching a film, like, and there happened to be a sex scene in it, I wouldn't really be bothered, but for some reason reading them just seems really cringy to me. But I don't know, it's a me problem, so Next up, I won't spend too long on these. This is the last little pile that I have for today, but I did mention them in my December TBR, and the reason I'm mentioning them again is just because I think, as I said earlier in the video, that December is such a busy month for people in the run up to Christmas, especially if you've got kids and you've got school shows and dance shows and like fundraisers and Christmas fairs and all these different things that go on around Christmas, and you're still trying to work and you've got presents to buy and presents to wrap, and you have to see everybody that you've not seen all year and meet up with people and like do all the Christmas traditions, like going to the Christmas markets, and so much going on in December. So sometimes it is hard to find time to sit down and read, and that is the reason I've got these here. And it's just basically like books that you can dip in and out of. You can read a section and they're all individual, so you can read one section and put it down and that's fine. Like you don't have to go back to the story. So these two here are short story collections. They're crime based, so Murder on Christmas Eve, this is by a selection of authors, and this is Christmas's Murder by Val McDermott. The Val McDermott one is based on some of her characters from her series of books, so if you're familiar with those, then you will probably get more out of this one, but you can still read them as just standalone Christmas crime stories. And as I say, this one is by all different authors. So yeah, so you could pick up this, read a story, read a couple of stories, put it back down. If you don't go back to it again until next December, it's fine, because they're all it's all unrelated, and it's meant to be something that you can just dip into. Next one up is The Poem for Every Day of Christmas. This has got 31 poems in it that takes you from the 1st of December through to Hogmanay, and like I say, reading a poem a day, it'll take you a couple of minutes, or you can read it all in one go if you so wish, and again it would only take you'd be able to do that in an hour or so, because it is so short. Obviously some people might want to savour the poems a bit more, but as I say, a nice little book to dip into, and it's such a pretty cover to like just have out and sitting around at Christmas. And then the next two are just like compendiums of different bits of literature, poems, extracts from novels, short stories and stuff. And this is a literary Christmas, and then a children's literary Christmas. And as I say, you can pick it up, read a couple of pages, put it down. Like, it's just nice to have sitting around at Christmas. Again, lovely covers, and they're done by the British Library. So yeah, that is my Christmas and winter book recommendations. As I say, I haven't read them all, so if I have recommended one that I haven't read and you don't like it, like, I do apologise, but we're never all going to like the same things. Like I said, there is a book there that I had read that I wasn't a big fan of, but I still recommended it because I know some of you out there will probably still love it. We're all different, and that's how it is, and we all like different things. So hopefully there is something in there for you, because there is quite a varied list of books there. But yeah, hopefully in that list you have found something that you would like to read. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.